Stitch Cutie, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and can you believe it's block 4 of this block of the month already? So exciting. So this is a video tutorial for using your embroidery machine to make your block in the hoop. So what you're going to have are your threads. So we have Sulky 40 weight orange, which is 1168. We have the gold, which is 0567. And then we have the black, which is 1005. Of course, you're gonna have your orange background fabric and your black background fabric. We're gonna press those in just a second. I have all of my pre-fused laser cut applique pieces ready to go. I have them set off to the side. And then I am going to set my pattern aside. And in front of me, I like to have my Steady Betty. It's a really great pressing surface for when I'm working with my embroidery machine and my pre-fused laser cut applique pieces. And then of course I have my trusted steam fast travel iron, which I just love to use all the time. So I am going to load the file for block 4, and then we'll be back with that first step. So now on your hoop, you can see you have this straight line. So let's, if you remember from the previous month, let's put our fabrics in place. So I just put it down on my Steady Betty. Yes, I have it turned sideways just so it's nice for the camera angle. Well, so I can fit it in the camera angle. I'm gonna bring my fabric right up so it just barely covers that stitched line. And I'm gonna put my black fabric right on top of that. And then I'm gonna use just a smidge of tape to hold that in place. And again, the tape I use is that 3M transport tape, real easy to find on like Amazon or something like that. So I'll show you again what it says inside so you can see it. 3M transport tape, super easy. So again, I'm going to keep that orange thread on my machine. I'm going to put this back on. The machine is going to give us 1 stitch here to make our 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now that line is stitched, what I'm going to do is just gently remove my tape. Let me get that off my finger. That's the hardest part of removing the tape for me, getting it off my finger. And then again, on top of my Steady Betty, I'm going to just gently press my seam down, my black fabric, and I'm going to give it a quick iron. And again, I'm not distorting any of the contents in my hoop because I do have it nice and flat on this Steady Betty. And then if you want to give it a little bit of tape at the top and bottom, you certainly can. And what we're going to do now is put this back on again with that orange thread. It's number 1168. It's a Sulky 40 weight rayon. And the machine is going to give us a nice square and base this all down. And then it's going to give us our first round of applique pieces. Okay, so now in front of you, you have a whole bunch of applique pieces outlined. And I know stitching orange on orange is kind of hard for that to show in the camera, but you have your pieces there. So we'll go step by step, putting them in place. So the first pieces that we're going to put down are, let's see, 1 and 2, which are the orange pieces for that middle pumpkin. So to peel your fusible, you just simply give it a little crimp and it pulls right off. Easy peasy. So let's get these in place. And you just line your piece up exactly with that stitched outline so you have a little perfect positioning. And then we'll put piece number 2. Or I guess that's 1. You can do 1 or 2 first. And then we're gonna do 6 and 7, which are at the top up here. That is our leaf and the black stem of that top pumpkin. So I'm just gonna grab my pieces right here. And then again, you're going to put it in place just like you always do. This little block is so cute, especially once it's stitched. I think this is one where it really comes to life with the stitching. And then our little stem. And it's those little pieces like that what really make me love this iron so I don't burn my finger. Now we have 12, 13, and 14, which are these 3 little circles. So you want to be really careful. I'll show you what they are. It's these 3. Now when you're working with the small pieces, my best advice is to make sure that you put it fusible side down. So I'm just gonna peel my paper backing off. And I'm actually just gonna put all 3 pieces in place at one time. If you have little tweezers, I would say now is the time to use them, because sometimes I think it's easier with like scissors or tweezers, the little point of scissors, to get these in place. Maybe your hand is steadier than mine. There we go. And then this last little piece right here. Cute, cute, cute. These fun little accents that Amy did on this quilt just really bring it to life for us. Okay, so I'm gonna press all 3 of those down. Now we're gonna do, let's see, their numbers 15 and 16, which are our other 2 yellow. They're like these little solid yellow triangles right here. And I'm just gonna put those 2 in place. There we go. Perfect. Iron those down. Let's see, what number are we up to? 17 and 18. Easy peasy. These are the 2 green pieces. They're like a fun little line print. And we're just gonna put those right in place. There we go. And tap that into place. And our final piece. Now when I put my hoop back on the arm of my machine, and you do the same thing, leave that orange thread on for the next step. The next step is more applique outlines for us. So we'll be back in just a second to iron those on. So now your machine has stitched 4 outlines for you, and it's really important on this step that you iron them on in a particular order. So we're gonna go 3, 8, 19, 20, okay? And the reason that's important is because of the layering that happens with these pumpkins. So again, we're gonna start with number 3, which is this big orange piece, which right now doesn't look like much on top of the other orange pieces, but once it's stitched, it really does add some nice dimension to this pumpkin instead of being just one orange piece. Now we're going to do number 8, which is this fun striped pumpkin that sits atop. And again, you just make sure you have your piece right in the correct place. There we go. And now we're going to do 19 and 20 right over here. And so we're just building our applique as we go. Make sure I get this guy in place. There we go. And then number 20. So now again, I'm gonna leave that orange thread on my machine. I'm gonna put my hoop back on the arm of my machine, and it's gonna give us another outline for a few more pieces to put on. Okay, so now you can see that the machine is giving you an outline for the little face on the top 2 pumpkins, and then you have an outline for that final piece on the bottom pumpkin. So let's put these little guys in place. On this one, it doesn't matter which order you put them down in because there's no overlapping pieces. So I'm just gonna go with what I happen to pick up first, which is this little black nose. And then you have his little mouth. And you just get it right in place. Let's see, I'm gonna use this to kind of help me get it in place. There we go. And now, again, little bitty pieces. They're so cute. They really do make the project adorable. So we wanna use them, but man, they're hard to line up. So you wanna just be real careful and get them in place. Don't burn your finger when you're ironing these little pieces on. And then we have, I believe this is his little nose. There we go. And that's what I'm talking about. If you have like the end of scissors or a pair of tweezers, you can use that to hold it in place so you don't accidentally burn yourself. And with the little pieces, for some reason to me, they're the ones that I accidentally put fusible side up on. I've done that more than once. So make sure when you're getting this on there that you have the fusible side down, because you don't want to iron it to the back of your iron. That's just messy. And now we're gonna do this final piece on this big pumpkin of this step. It's not the final piece on this pumpkin, it's just the final piece of this particular step. Get it nice and lined up. And press in place. So again, one more step of applique outlines to stitch. So I'm going to leave that orange thread on, and the machine is going to give us basically the little face on our final pumpkin. Okay, and now you have your little face outlined on your pumpkin, so let's iron on, and now your design's really going to come to life. It's going to be so cute. And then once we start the buttonhole stitching, oh my goodness, so adorable. I love every block of this. I hope you all are enjoying this as much as we are. I'm especially having fun because y'all know I love filming the video tutorials. It's not work at all for me. It's fun. I get to play just like you do when you get your box and you get to stitch it. So I just hope y'all are having fun. I love this. All right, and then the little mouth goes right in place. And you know what? If you're having a bad day and then you come and you go to your little sewing space and you start working on this project, don't you think it just makes your day better? It's just a happy place to be working on one of these projects. Okay, so let's take a look. We have all of our pieces ironed on. So now I'm going to leave that orange thread for one last step, and the machine is going to do the buttonhole stitch on this little bottom pumpkin on the orange part, and it's going to do the buttonhole stitch around this top pumpkin of the orange. Then after that, we'll switch to gold and then black, and then before you know it, we'll be done with our block. I mean, the hard part's over. Ironing the pieces on, honestly, that takes more time than anything else. So let's get going with the buttonhole stitches. And now we're going to load the yellow. This is 0567, and the machine is going to do a buttonhole stitch around these cute little 5 pieces right here. But let's take a look at what just stitched. So see the little pumpkin there, and then this pumpkin, the orange just stitched. So it looks so good. I'm really happy with it. I'm going to put my gold thread on. You do the same thing, and we'll be back for the last color change. Let's take a look at that yellow. Look at those perfect little bitty buttonhole stitches. I just love it. We turned them down really, really small on these 3 circles because you didn't want them to overpower the actual circle. So now we're going to do our final thread change, and that is to the black 1005, and the machine is going to do the buttonhole stitching and the accent stitching of everything else. So when we come back in just a minute, our entire block is going to be complete and ready to take out of the hoop and trim. Yay, your block is now complete. Didn't it come to life with all the final stitching on? I think so too. I just love it. So I'm going to get my hoop out of the way. You do the same. And so now what I've had underneath my Steady Bitty the whole time is my little Olfa rotary mat. And so what we're going to do is just trim on the stitched line that's originally given to us. And that way our block is going to be totally ready and perfectly sized for when we go to put our quilt together in that 13th month when we get our finishing kit. So I'm just going to turn this and cut all 4 sides. Now, obviously, you'll be working with a larger space in front of you, so you won't have to kind of makeshift how you're cutting here. There we go. And then I'll turn it and get this. So once I'm done cutting, I'm just going to pull the tearaway stabilizer out from the back. And remember that you don't get the buttons in your kit every month. You get that at the very end in your finishing kit. One, so that you don't have to try and keep up with those buttons all